walking the spirit is difficult, dealing with all of the ignorance. But in the Bible, it's still talking about the Bible. What is the benefit? Everything about you counterfeit. There ain't no rebuttal you can counter with. On the internet, you the master teacher. In real life, you powerless. Keep it real with you, I don't have time for this. I ride for this, my forefathers died for this. They cry for this opportunity presently I possess, and right now you are the opposite. If you walk in love, you fulfill the law. Don't get involved and you ain't giving it all. If you ever think it's cool to threaten another man's family, then you already lost. Chemtrails got aluminum, heavy metal saturate the atmosphere. Manhattan Project, time travel, Mandela effect, what happened here? GMO food processing to the whole world become obsolete. A black man who believes in Jesus got my own team taking shots at me. You trespassing on property that you don't fully understand properly. All the back and forth, that's not for me, that's for ROC and the war machine. If we ride together, then we ride together. If we can't do it, I'd rather leave. I still stand on the word of God till the day I die and no longer breathe. We trapped inside the diaspora, nightmares of the massacre. Cold sweat, I'm below deck, in the middle passage, just a passenger. Revolutionary hardcore, liberation, that's a hard job. You ain't ready, you a oddball, keep your mouth closed like lockjaw. I learned trying to bring people together on the same page, make them separate. All the talk about reconciliation, when the time come, you hesitate. If Jesus was able to sit at the table with a bunch of sinners, you very fake. Your steps ordered by the Lord, and how it was yesterday, your big mistake. We the city sitting on the hill. Guess it all depends on how you live. Guess it all depends on how you feel, and we both know that ain't God's will. I stood on what I felt was right. I don't never question if God's real. Trapped inside this matrix, I'm about to pop the red and the blue pill.
Bless them which persecute you. Bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, said the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12:14-21.
Peace, peace, peace. What it is your brother Tyron Swano, aka the Orthodox Moore, aka the Seven Pillar Saracen, aka Brother Moore. Praying that y'all are having a very blessed and peaceful day wherever you are. This is my second installment of showing my Gedmatch results. I'll be going through my Ethiohelix and my Dodecad results. My prior video, I did the MDLP results. And what's interesting about that, when people watch that, please go back and watch that video if you haven't seen it. And when you do, and if you have seen it, you might want to go back and watch it again with this understanding. I was actually recommended by Sister Salam, right? The UA apologist that supposedly has a presentation on Gedmatch and whatnot. I was recommended by her live on air with a bunch of my homies as witnesses. She was telling me that I should use the MDLP project because of my mixture. So keep that in mind when you go watch that. Like, I was actually recommended by her to go use the MDLP project. Now in this video, I'll be going over my Gedmatch Ethiohelix project results. And like I said, the Dodecad results. Now the Ethiohelix is what the urban apologists were saying that African Americans claiming to be Israelites should be using to see if they have any Israelite DNA. Now, what's interesting about the Ethiohelix, when you go through the spreadsheet, the only Jewish marker they have in the project is Ethiopian Jewish. It's the only one they have. It's the only one that can come up. There'll be no other one that comes up. And so, like the urban apologists were recommending that if you have an admixture of European DNA, etc., that you should go through the Ethiohelix and use the Ethiohelix K10 French project, etc. There was correspondence back and forth with Gedmatch, and Gedmatch was saying, like, yeah, go ahead and use like the MDLP. Like, you can go ahead and use the MDLP if you want to projects, and also they recommended the Dodecad projects. So I'm going to be going over both like I said, the Ethiohelix, my Ethiohelix results and my Dodecad results. But without further ado, family, peace and blessings to everybody in the chat, family. Without further ado, let's get it. So this is my Ethiohelix K10 French results. My apologies for how blurry these pictures are. I just found my clearer set, my clearest set of pictures of these, and I'll probably end up redoing this with the clearer set. But these will be clear enough to suffice for the moment. So with the Ethiohelix K10 French, what this project is supposed to do is kick any of your European DNA into the French part, right? So you'll see here it says French, and then it gives me a percentage of 33.57%. So throwing all my European in there, right? So there's no like Ashkenazi Jewish, none of them types of things, right? All that's thrown into French. Again, the only kind of Jewish they have in this project, and any one of these projects in Ethiohelix, is Ethiopian Jewish. But you can see my different percentages of North Africa, Eastern Bantu, Western Africa, etc. The Biak Pygmies, all that. The Amadic, all that. Moving forward. So this is my single population sharing results. Again, and this is via my 23andMe DNA. So again, they gave me Egyptians at a distance of 39.01, Libya at 39.44, Egypt at 40.7, ETT at 44.69, ETA at 45.07, and Ethiopian Jew at 45.33. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because if you compare my Gedmatch results to someone like GCon, for instance, right? GCon doesn't come up as Ethiopian Jewish. Like he comes up as Lemba and other stuff, but he doesn't come up as Ethiopian Jewish here. However, in the specific project, I'm being recommended to go put my DNA through. It is coming that the UA people, not necessarily Gedmatch, but that the urban apologist community are recommending that I put my Gedmatch through or my DNA through. They're saying that, or this project is saying Ethiopian Jewish at a distance of 45.33. And yeah, you can see it going down. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of it. But you can see, you'll see that there's a heavy link to North Africa, a heavy link to like Ethiopia, Kenya, and then like a heavy link with like southern Bantu tribes and whatnot. So next is the Ethiohelix K10 Japanese project. Now I did this project as well because I have a decent chunk of Native American DNA, and so I wanted to see what it would say if I ran it through this project. I put my stuff through every project out there in Ethiohelix, and so you can see where like it says 16.5, etc. on the Japanese. So it's throwing all my Native American in that direction, and it seems as though it's throwing any European DNA I have in North Africa, because North Africa jumped up to 31.75%. So it seems like anything else you can pretty much throw into the African DNA, etc. And you can see the percentages there. And this is what it says there. Fulani at a distance of 35.07, which makes total sense when you understand my father's in my paternal haplogroup of EM33. It's very heavy amongst Fulani. Hema at 36.35, ETT at a distance of 40.18, Morocco South at a distance of 40.27, ETA at a distance of 41.09, and here we go again, Ethiopian Jews at a distance of 42.71. So that's two projects in a row within the Ethiohelix to where I'm coming up with Ethiopian Jews, and it's in my top 6 so far in both of them. So if you want to see the rest of them, you can definitely pause up the video and see the rest of my numbers there. But in the interest of time, I'm going to speed through this a little bit. So this is the Ethiohelix K10 Palestinian. This is a very interesting project. But you can see where the Palestinian gets thrown up to 42.58. And it still has like West African, Khoisan, Bantu, Mbudi Pygmy, East African, etc. All these breakdowns. Biaka Pygmy, all that. And so this is my breakdown in that one. Here, the top one is Morocco South at a distance of 33.2, ETA at a distance of 34.97, ETT at a distance of 35.03, Ethiopian Jews at a distance of 35.93, and Fulani at a distance of 41.51. So here, like, yeah, my Fulani is like top 5 again. In a lot of cases, you'll see that Fulani is like my top match that you'll find anywhere in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, what's interesting though is that like where you see it matching up with this like Morocco, Ethiopian Jews is very interesting because like so again with my father's DNA, when you go back and look at my paternal haplogroup video that I did, and I'll link that down below when I'm done with the video. You'll see that the distribution of that DNA shows like an east to west migration. And so there's a lot that you'll be hearing me talk about this east to west migration. I'm going further in a lot of different videos. But what's interesting with that is that, so again, in the third project in a row, I have Ethiopian Jews, and in the Palestinian one, it's actually at a higher mark. I went from 2 6s to this is my fourth highest, fourth closest match. And it's saying I'm actually closer to that than I am to the Fulani. Going forward, so this is the Ethiohelix K10 African only, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Now here, it seems to be real clear that it threw my any European DNA into North Africa, and then it threw any Native American DNA into the East Africa too. There's 2 East Africas, so I have 2 percentages. Like I come up on both, but the bigger one is definitely my Native American side. But these are my results there, family. Again, we got Fulani as my top result at 22.53. Morocco South at a distance of 31.34. Hema at a distance of 40.39. Libya at a distance of 43.92. Moroccans at a distance of 44.58. Sahara Occidental 45.72. Algeria at 46.78. Egyptians at 46.9. Egypt at 47.03. Bantu Kenya at 48.45. Luya at 48.55. Morocco North at 48.81, ETA at 49.89, ETT at 50.68, Bantu South Africa 51.48, Petty at 51.66, Ngumi at 51.96, and Ethiopian Jews at 52.15. Sandawi at 52.82 and Josa at 52.83. But again, like so, in all 4 Ethiohelix projects, I hit Ethiopian Jews. Now here it drops all the way down to 18. But this is in Africa only, so they got to place mine. They're placing my European stuff somewhere in Africa. So you see a whole bunch of North Africa, like Morocco and Libya and Algeria and all, etc., and Egypt, etc. And then you see again the Fulani and the Ethiopian Jews. So yeah, there is that. So next we have my Gedmatch Dodecad World 9 results. And so you can see my breakdown where it has like the Amerindian, East Asian, African, Atlantic, Baltic, etc., 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 etc. And feel free to pause it up and look at what's popping off at the left side of the screen. But going forward into that, it says Dominican at a distance of 10.58, which is the lowest number that I come up with in any single population distances, is Dominican at 10.58, Puerto Rican at 32.89, Somali at 39.96. Now this is where it gets interesting. I want people to pay attention to this a little bit right here. Somali at 39.96. The MKK 30 is somewhere in Kenya. At 40.8 at 40.18. Ethiopians at 40.38 and Ethiopian Jews at 41.99. So I want you to look at that Somali, Kenya, Ethiopia overlap right there. So this is where you hear me talk about me and a lot of my homies. None of us have the same paternal haplogroup. Like again, Yehukin is like R1b. The homie Anonymous Hebrews like the EM180, etc. I am E1A or EM33 or EM132. And we have a lot of similar and different DNA, but where what we find in common is this Ethiopian Jewish connection and this overlap in Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, etc. So I have, if you look at my family tree DNA results, you'll see that I actually have some DNA from the Horn of Africa, where I get it from North Ethiopia to Somalia to even parts of Kenya. You know what I'm saying? And you'll see that I have even in that test and other tests where Kenya pops up heavy in my DNA as well. And so what we see is that there's a heavy Canaanite population called the Ethiopians, or when I say Canaan, I mean like people that were in the land of Canaan. A population of people called the Ethiopians, where there's a big overlap in the Levant and also in this area of Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, etc. And so where we genetically overlap is that area of Ethiopia, Kenya, etc. So we find this to be extremely interesting. We'll be talking a lot about this going forward. But I definitely want to focus on that. Like, so in my Dodecad World 9, and this is what Gedmatch had recommended to a lot of people, particularly if you're of African descent and you have a mixture as well. So I'll go through the rest of it, right? There's the PUR30 at 42.88, the ASW30 at 42.98, the Sandawi at 42.98, Moroccans at 45.95, Mozambique at 48.88, I think, or 89, Colombian at 50.53, San at 50.66, Hazda at 50.77, CLM at 51.58, ACB at 52.38, Yemenis at 52.86, Brazilian at 56.75, Egyptians at 57.47, and Bantu Northeast at 58.67. Now here I'm going to get into my my Dodecad Africa only, or the Africa 9. And so you can see the breakdown there. It actually says Europe at 27%, etc. You get Northwest Africa, Southwest Asia, East Africa, South Africa, etc., 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 West Africa. And these are my numbers there. And this is where I found my clear picture. So I'm gonna definitely try to redo these with my clear pictures when I find the rest of them. But yeah, I found this to be real interesting. This is the Africa only, right? The Africa 9. So they have North African at a distance of 38.42, Libya at 39.61, Algeria at 40.92, Egypt at 42.56, Moroccan Jews at 43.64, Egyptians at 43.89, North African Jews at 45.37, Yemenis at 46.17, Luya at 46.68, Morocco South at 46.83, Bantu Northeast at 47.72, the Fang people at 47.72, Morocco North at 47.94, Fulani at 48.43, Moroccans at 48.81, Congo at 50.14, Jordanians at 50.21, Mamoon at 51.61, Druze at 53.01, and Kaaba at 55.08. So what's super interesting about this is that so you also like in my like I said, a lot of people are finding like the Jewish stuff in their double population, the two population results, etc. And with me, I'm consistently finding it in the single population sharing results. So in the Dodecad World 9, you see the Ethiopian popping up, and that's consistent. Like that came up in the MDLP projects, that came up in all the Ethiohelix projects, and that came up in Dodecad World, the Dodecad World project. And here you're seeing Moroccan Jew and North African Jew pop up in my single population sharing results. And so I actually compare these to my mother and my uncle's results, for instance. And what was interesting about them is that their top result was Moroccan Jew. Then second, they got North African Jew. Then they got Ethiopian Jew. And then they also pulled up Yemenite Jew or Yemenis Jew, which denotes an extremely interesting migration pattern, which I will be talking about in the future. An extremely interesting migration pattern that I will definitely be breaking down in the future, be focusing on quite a bit. Because a lot of people know about migrations from the Levant, but a lot of people don't know about migrations from Yemen, Ethiopia, and other parts of Africa. So I'm definitely going to be focusing on that going up further in the future. But yeah, not only that, but on my father's side. So I was able to compare my my DNA with my father's oldest sister's daughter's daughter. Like, so my father's great niece, right? My second cousin. Her and my father have the same mitochondrial DNA, and she's also pulling up Ethiopian Jew in the MDLP project, and also in the Ethiohelix project, and also in Dodecad. And she's also in the Dodecad of Africa only. She's also pulling up Moroccan Jew and North African Jew. And then I have another cousin who is my father's second oldest sister's son's daughter. Like, so same thing, right? Second cousin. She's pulling up. She's showing DNA that has a little bit of Sudanese, right? So her DNA is also showing an east to west migration. So my father's side of the family's DNA is consistently showing descendancy from like a migration of east to west of Africans that went from east to west, which is extremely interesting. So both sides of my family have a genetic story that talk about migrations from the eastern part of Africa to the western and northern parts of Africa. And I'm definitely going to be getting thick into those migrations going forward. Let's see how am I doing on time. Yeah, that's what's up. I wanted to make this under half hour. Doing all the good in the world. So let's see here what we got popping off in the chat. Yeah, actually, just also they don't understand how the calculators work. I'm assuming she's talking about the urban apologist community. And some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them do, some of them don't. I'm intrigued to see what Sister Salam has to come out and say. Hopefully, she'll come on Debate Talk for you and break down that presentation she was talking about. Because I would love for her to break it down and also to work through my DNA with it. Let's see. What else we got? The sis says you can't make something appear that's not there. That's 100% true, and that's why I'm asking the questions. Like, can they break down why is it that my DNA is showing up in the single person populations, in the Ethiohelix, in the MDLP, in the Dodecad, consistently hitting up with the Ethiopian Jewish, and not only that, with like the MDLP and the Dodecad, the ones that Gedmatch are recommended. I'm also hitting with other Jewish groups as well. So, yeah. And yeah, 100% correct. Different calculators focus on different populations. Yep. That's exactly what it is. And that's also why I ran my stuff through through all the different Ethiohelix projects, trying to see how my different sides of my DNA would come up, like the Native American and the European, etc. Shalom, fam. Yeah, but that's also why I brought up, like I said, ran my DNA through all those different projects, so we could see how the calculators would focus on stuff. And like I said, with the Ethiohelix, in every calculator, the Ethiopian Jewish came up, and it's consistent. So the MDLP is coming up with Ethiopian Jewish, the Ethiohelix calculators, and the Dodecad calculators. So yeah. I'm not saying I'm an expert on none of this stuff. However, I'm very familiar with Gedmatch at this juncture, in the sense to where I've looked at a lot of different people's stuff, like my homie stuff. Like I said, like I've had G-Con on. We've talked about his Gedmatch. We've gone through his results and whatnot. And in comparing and contrasting, like I'm saying, like for instance, he came up Limba. I came up Limba as well. He came up with Ethiopian Jewish in the MDLP. So did I. But he didn't come up with the Ethiopian Jewish in the Ethiohelix projects, but I did. So it's not an anomaly because it hit in all of them. So there has to be an explanation for that. And the simplest explanation tends to be the right one. Y'all know that adage from science and whatnot. And so if all four of them are saying Ethiopian Jewish, there's got to be a connection there. And now, so here's the interesting thing. So either I'm getting it from my father or from my mother or from both. And either or are they forebode a very interesting set of circumstances. And there's a lot of consequences to that understanding, in the sense to where, so they both represent an east to west migration. They both represent an east to west migration through Africa. And that's going to become very important in understanding migration patterns and who was where when, in certain historical breakdowns, particularly in understanding the slave trade, etc. Because most of the UA people I talk to they focus on migrations from the Levant, and not even all of them. But I'm not mad at them, because they wouldn't know where to look in a lot of cases, because most of these migration patterns are sourced in Islamic material. And most UA people aren't going to look in Islamic material for this kind of stuff. But most of them aren't aware of certain migrations from the Levant to Central and West Africa, and they're not aware of migrations from Yemen and Ethiopia to Central West Africa, and also to North Africa. And some aren't even aware of the migrations from North Africa to South Africa. Like, so for instance, like you're hearing me say that I'm Fulani. The Fulani, like there's a lot of them that talk about they came from North Africa. Like they went from East Africa to North Africa to West Africa. Some went from east to west, but some went from east to north to west. So there's a lot of interesting migrations to talk about. Hold on real quick. So, hey, bro, I sent you my results. Bantu and Dinka and Kawa kept coming up, and in some projects never came up. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. And Hausa came up too. Yeah, and again, them Hausa are again another aspect of the east to west migrations and whatnot. The Hausa are huge. Let's see what's behind. Man, thank you, sis. Man, basic common sense, right? Says people just didn't come up out of nowhere in West Africa. They got there some way, shape, or form, right? Some way, shape, or form. Here we go. Shalom, fam. Shalom, right back at you, fam. But yeah, family, I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. Like I said, please go review my previous video on my MDLP results, and keep in mind that a lot of the UA community were saying that African Americans shouldn't use the MDLP project. However, Sister Salam specifically told me in front of brothers like Yara and Yehukanan and Anonymous Hebrew live on air, Unfortunately, on a video we don't have access to anymore. But she told me specifically because of my admixture that I should use the MDLP project and whatnot. So please go back and review that video and look at it from that perspective. And Sister Salam, if you're listening to this, I would love to have you on and have a conversation. Not like a corner got you kind of a thing, but definitely on Sal's platform where you can be given the room to take off and land. You can give your whole presentation. I won't say a word. And I would just like to understand what my DNA tells you from Gedmatch, from how you understand Gedmatch, and where the false positives come in your perspective and all that type of stuff. But with that, family, I pray y'all have a wonderful day. And with that, I say peace and love.
I like the way this feel, yeah. Let my soul cry, yeah. Minister, we gonna speak from the heart on this one. I'm performing lyrical funerals, no obituary. I killed your boy and brought him back to life, pet cemetery. My anointing not based on attendance at a seminary. Scarlet witches, they attracted to the visionary. Everywhere I go, I bring the word with me, missionary. Soldier drafted in the war machine, military. Pay attention, what I'm saying to you, legendary. You got the demeanor of a front desk secretary. That mean you take the calls, but you don't make the calls. That's why you hate, cause ain't nothing fake about me at all. Now I dare you try to say that with a straight face. My delivery in tip-top, great shape. I'm too advanced for you, light years, space age. No evolution for you cavemen, stone age. I'm a thoroughbred, rock solid. I came from the bottom to the top, rock climbing. I grew up in the hood, pros and cons. That's that full court pressure when the amalanche roll out the stretch. Why can't you see it's not logical? And you live diabolical. Boy, your point of view smaller than the hair follicle molecule. This for all of them that follow you, smoking all of them barbecue. When I pull up, your voice on correct itself with no auto-tune. I got a whole nother level that I can enter whenever I gotta deal with the devil. I pick a whole nother method. I hear a whole lot of yapping. They wanna see my reaction. Really out here in the community making it happen. I don't really think they understand the dilemma. They ain't looking at the man in the mirror. I can't say it any clearer. The plan is very simple. It's time to start playing in the temple. Before somebody come and put the can on your temple. Reaching like a baby with his hand for the nipple. The Grand Reaper coming with his hand on the circle. In the van coming with a ram with it. With the van coming get him. I am so glad that I changed up. Made it out of where I came from. Watch for the slide and the hook of the slow ball, fastball, and that change up. That ghetto lifestyle, it changed us. Go back to visit, it ain't changed much. Only difference is now the way that my brain process information. And Satan, but after my license, day one, let me say something. Only reason that I'm still alive today because God's grace is amazing. Just another raisin in the sun. Dream deferred when things occur. Now you getting served right on the curb like a lemonade stand. I just gave you the benediction, let the whole church say amen.